Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Hello everyone and welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan. I'm Lindsay DeLucia. Today we'll be talking a little bit about the election season and the process that goes into that. So first off, I'm here with State Representative Peter Patalia. Thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Happy to be here.
Great. So first off, if you could just talk to me, tell me when elections are.
The primary election is the first Tuesday in August, and then the folks that make it out of the primary go into the November election. The general election is the first Tuesday in November.
Okay, great. So I know that there are a lot of differences between the primaries and the general elections.
Absolutely.
So first, tell me a little bit about the process of just going into the general election.
Well, the first thing you do is in a primary election, generally you'll have two parties. So you'll have a Democratic Party and a Republican Party. Now there's also independents and Green parties and other parties here in Michigan, but the two prominent parties are Democrats and Republicans. So prior to the primary election, you'll find the group of candidates within the Republican Party and the group of candidates within the Democratic Party challenging each other. They don't really challenge Republicans challenging Democrats. The Republicans will say amongst their folks that they're visiting is, I'm the better Republican, these are my thoughts and wishes and desires. The Democratic Party members do the same thing. Then when they make it to the August election, out of that comes one out of each party.
Right. And as for the general election, you make it through the primaries, you go into that, and what is the process going into that aspect of it?
Again, right, so that's, you go through the primary election, so you're out and about telling everybody that you are the person for that party.
Right.
But now when you get into the general, now you're trying to distinguish yourself as the candidate that could best serve the district from the other candidate of the opposite party. So you'll have a Democrat and a Republican. They'll be out and about telling each other constituents and the people around that, this is my background, these are my desires, this is the goal that I have for the district, and this is how I'm going to get there.
And in terms of strategy for each, obviously it's got to be pretty different going into the primary than the general. So.
Absolutely, and that's true. There's a hugely different strategy. You got to remember when you're voting in a primary election, generally you're going to get people of that party out. And if you look at the people that actually vote in a primary, that number is greatly less than what votes in the general election. There's a lot of people that don't vote in the primary. They're willing to let the process work its way through, then see the candidates that come out of that. And in the 106th district, for an example, about 30% vote straight Democratic and 30% vote straight Republican. So there's about 40% in the middle, those are the independents, that are the ones that you have to ID with after the primary. So before the primary, a candidate will spend most of his or her time convincing people of their party that they're the ones that should be ultimately outside and win the primary. So you don't need to talk to as big of a group when you're running in a primary. Once you pass the primary, then you're talking to all people.
Right. And why do you think it is that there is such a lower percentage of people voting in the primaries?
A lot of people, well, first of all, it's August.
Yeah.
It's August, second week of August, first Tuesday of August. It's warm. People are still on vacation. They're out in their boats. They're gone camping. So there's not a lot of focus on that. The people that, of the hard people within those parties, that 30% that I mentioned, they're the ones that are focused on it. It's just human nature, I guess, that people just don't come out. Now, when you get into November, then it starts becoming more serious. And I shouldn't say that way. It's serious at both the primary and the general, but more people are focused in on voting in November than they are in August.
Right. Do you find that there could be any solution to that, kind of anything that the public could do or that legislator could do to spike interest in the primaries?
Well, personally, I think a primary is a very important election. I've never missed a primary election since I've been able to vote. That is what actually ends up coming out. So if you're not focused in on the primary, you may be losing the candidate that that you think may best fit the district.
Right.
So yes, I think it's important. the only thing we could do as legislators is encourage people to get out and vote. You certainly can't mandate that people vote, but we live in a country that gives us that opportunity, and I've always wondered why more people don't take advantage of it.
And there are a bunch of other aspects to the election season. We had talked a little bit about judge elections and things like that.
Right.
So tell me a little about that.
Well, let's talk about municipal elections. That's we have some up and coming here in Alpena, and throughout the 106th district and throughout the state, the municipal elections. A municipal election is a nonpartisan election, meaning there isn't a Democrat or Republican Party. They run in a nonpartisan arena. So the way that works is if you have a open mayoral position, as we have one here in Alpena, although our mayor is not challenged this year, you would have a multitude of people that are running for, let's say, mayor, and you could have, let's say, 5 candidates. What happens at the primary, since it's a nonpartisan election, is the top 2 vote getters then go to the general. So if you have 5 people, the person that got the most votes and the person that got the second most votes, they're the ones that come out of that, and then they face each other off in the general election. And that works for city council members and also our mayoral election. So now townships, which we have, they come up every 4 years, so they're not up this year. They are also partisan, so they'll run the same way that we had said it before. The Republican and Democratic Party will work their way through that one.
And is there anything that you predict specifically for this year's elections?
I would think since the 106th seat, which I have the honor of representing now, is now an open seat because of term limits, I think you're going to see a field of candidates. I don't know how big that field will be, but I think it'll be more than just one from each party. Generally, in an open election, you'll have multiple people trying to run to represent their party, and then ultimately end up trying to represent the 106th district. So I think we'll see something, and that'll start shaking out here pretty soon, I believe.
And you have a lot of experience with local government. Do you think there are any specific issues this year that the public or the people running should focus on?
Well, it's interesting here in Alpena. We have a couple of real concerns that are going to be of interest. And remember, county commissioners are up this year too. They're up every 2 years, like state representatives. And then our townships are up every 4 years. And this is an opposite year for them. But one of the big issues this year, and I think it's going to be even brought more concerning, is the transfer of the hospital right now. And I know you've done stories on that. So that's going to be an interesting thing, and that could mean a little bit of a challenge for the county commissioners here in Alpena. How are they going to present that? Is it ultimately going to be a campaign issue or not a campaign issue? So.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for all the
Oh, you bet.
information. We appreciate you being here.
Always happy.
And coming up next, we'll be speaking with Councilman Mike Nowak and Mayor Matt Walagore to talk more about their specific preparations for running, so stay tuned. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Insights into Northeast Michigan. I'm Lindsay DeLucia, and I'm here right now with Councilman Mike Nowak. We're talking about local politics and the election season coming up, so thanks so much for joining us, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
So if you could talk about first a little bit about your background. I know the first time you ran was in February 2013. So what made you decide to run, and what have you learned from that and are taking into this election season?
Well, at that time, Alpena was going through a little bit of turmoil, and the reason I decided to is I thought that I could actually add a little bit of value to the council because I have a business background. I wanted to bring some transparency and some availability with me, and so I threw my name into the field and just decided to run at that time.
And like you said, the city was looking for more transparent leaders. So tell me what you've done with that. I know you're online a lot and interacting with the community, so tell me why you decided to do that.
Well, to follow that lead of being transparent, I started a Facebook page, a community Facebook page that basically anyone could go on there and at any time can kind of read a follow-up from a council meeting. I just wanted to explain to people why I voted the way I did, what I felt the background that I had in that particular issue was, and what my thinking was when I did place that vote. Also, in transparency or availability, I started doing public meetings. I do 3 a year, just so people can come sit, have a cup of coffee with me, call me at home if they want to, and just kind of let me know what they're feeling.
And it's very important to the community. And what would you say are a couple of your main goals in this position for the community?
Well, the reason I decided to run again is because my vision was that Alpena is the largest city in our region. I felt that we needed to take more of a leadership role. I felt that I could help the council actually keep taking on a different aspect and leading us to that. And I always felt my own personal vision was that Alpena could actually lead cities of a similar size in leading Michigan back to greatness. We were the only state that actually lost population in the last census, and I felt that if we make some changes both locally and statewide that we can actually improve that.
Yeah, what kinds of changes do you think would go to improve that?
Well, one of the things that we're doing quite a bit is the environment for business growth in Alpena has really improved over the last several years. I work on the Target Economic Development Board, and that board basically has done a fantastic job of actually marketing our community out to all the site selection committees and bringing more people through our region. We've been able to get more people through this region than a lot of the other areas in the state. And most of that is from the hard work of the economic director, Jim Claridge.
And you work closely with Jim Claridge and everyone really in city council, in the local politics area. So tell me what you think your position does in terms of that whole circle.
Well, I think most of what we're doing right now is trying to maintain the same level of services that the city has currently with, obviously a lack of funding. That's one of the main areas that we have to focus on. As far as economic development, sometimes what it is actually creating the environment and getting creative. For instance, working with Target, Alpena Power, and the city on being able to reconstruct the old Alpena Power site to remove that, and now we've got multiple people looking at the site who are interested in moving a business into this area.
Yes, definitely a lot going on in that aspect. And now you are running uncontested for this election. Tell me, I feel like a lot of the public sees this and they think, well, you don't have to do much to campaign then, or there doesn't have to be much effort. So tell me why you think this is a false misconception of the public.
Well, I think for me, and I can only speak on my own behalf, is like I feel that any candidate for any position should work just as hard and get out and campaign as if they were running against a full field. I've got signs up all over the city. I've held some meetings publicly so people can come in and again talk to me about that. I keep my message out on the Facebook page, and I'm going to be out campaigning. We've knocked on some doors. We've let people know exactly what we're doing. We were in the 4th of July parade to get the word out that, hey, we're still interested in doing this if Alpena is interested in having me as their councilman. So that's for me personally. Uncontested, I think really to me that sent a message that Alpena is, I don't know if the word is satisfied, but at least they have confidence in the council as it currently sits to continue the mission that we're on. We don't agree on every issue, but we have a council that respects each other and keeps moving the city forward.
Of course, I mean, things take time, so you think that the public feels leaving someone in the position they're in will help over time to get these goals into effect?
I think so. I think a lot of times what happens is the biggest lesson I think I've learned is that government moves slowly. When you're trying to accomplish something, it's a series of meetings, it's a series of steps that you have to go through before you can actually get something accomplished. If we look at a couple of the main projects, at my first meeting were the trailhead for the DNR, which is just broken ground here, that's just being started, and the other project was the bridge in our sanctuary, and that has finally been completed. Mike Konjorski donated his time, and we've got the materials together, and so now that's been completed. So it moves a little bit slower than I'd like, but it's one of those things, and I think that with the vision that I've got, that I need some more time, so that's why I signed up for another 4 years, and with the public's help, I hope I get reelected.
Yeah, and it's nice to see things from foundation to finish that you want to see put into effect. So.
Exactly.
And how are you maybe changing any of your strategies or things for running from the first time you decided to run?
The strategies are about the same. It's just a matter of getting the message out to the public, letting them know that you're more interested in problem solving than you are politics. I'm not a game player. I'm pretty straightforward. I have an opinion. I do a lot of research on items. I look at what other communities do on certain aspects of any issue that comes up before council. So the majority of it is the research that you do. So I think that would probably be, the focus for election isn't going to change, other than, you know, maybe my thought process a little bit. My paradigm has been shifted from you know, talking to the people in the community as well. So
Right. What have you heard from them, from the people? Is there anything that they're looking specifically for from someone?
they're looking for, you know, like every other community, if you're not growing, then you're dying. So they're looking for growth, but they don't want. They love the community as it is right now. It's a smaller community. It's got that small town feel, but they want more choices. I mean, they want more choices from retail. They'd like us to continue to look for ways to improve the employment market here. It's the best it's been. Alpena County has currently the lowest unemployment it's had in years. But they're looking for, you know, more jobs in here. So, you know, I know that Jim Clary, the Economic Development Director, has been talking to different factories and stuff, and we'd love to be able to say that there's a 300, you know, person factory moving into this area, but that's a big investment, and we're interested in the smaller jobs, the smaller, you know, businesses that are coming in as well, and supplying 10 to 15 jobs.
Right, definitely. How to fix the public's problems is kind of a loaded question. So baby steps seem to be the approach that you would want to take.
Exactly. It's a small step. It's a whole process you have to go through, and it's a series of things that you just want to, you know, take the first step in that process. And the first step is creating the environment that encourages business growth within this area.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for your time. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing what you have to bring to the community this time around.
All right. Thank you.
And stay tuned into Insights into Northeast Michigan. We're going to be talking with Mayor Matt Walagora next, more about his plan and strategy for the community, so stay tuned. Hello everyone, welcome back to Insights into Northeast Michigan. I'm Lindsay DeLucia, and today we are talking about local politics and the election season coming up. So I have Mayor Matt Walagora here to talk to us a little bit more about that. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So Matt, what I would first like to start off with is tell me a little bit about what motivated you to run in the first place. I know this is going to be your second term, so.
Running for this time?
The first
in my
time
second,
you ran.
Oh, the first time I ran was just an interest in it. I was looking for something new to fill. You know, I'd done a lot of other local activities and coaching and whatnot, and just looking for something new. So I attended a lot of city council meetings, and I just thought, you know, it was interesting, and thought I'd try and do my part, so I ran.
Yeah, why do you think it's important to continue? I was talking to Mike a little bit about this, how it's nice to see things from foundation to finish, and when you start something, so that's kind of something that motivated him to run again for his position. Is that something that has to do with yours as well?
Yeah, to a certain extent, sure. You want to, everybody that's already in office of any type has got things going, and so finding that end, I suppose, would be difficult to not run. So that's motivational to finish up things that you're working on.
Of course. And explain a little bit what the responsibilities of the mayor actually are.
Obviously, the primary responsibility is to run city council meetings, and so that's probably primary. I'm a face of the community as well, when there's different events going on, of course, I would do my best to show up for them, welcome anyone into town of significance. I try to show up for stuff like that. Also, I learned very quickly when I was elected that the federal government finds me as the highest elected official basically in Northeast Michigan, so that puts a little bit more of a spin on things at times that I wasn't really expecting the first time when I was elected. We're not really that small when you consider the vastness of Northeast Michigan being the largest city here, so so I have that as well.
Right. And what do you think that what stuck out to you that you've done over your this term that you think has helped you meet those goals and responsibilities?
You know, a lot of things, I guess. We can go all the way back to things that are kind of ongoing. Probably one of the biggest and quickest projects that I worked on was the contract that evolved into the SkyWest contract for our air service here, and that was really a really good starter because it got me involved immediately with the county commissioners and with the Chamber of Commerce and with the CVB and really all of the partnerships that we work with now. We were all kind of got together and worked on that together. So it was very significant, and it's helped me throughout. Had I not had anything that vast to begin with, it may have taken longer to form those relationships. So that one sticks out pretty high. but I didn't want to hang my hat on it and just say, wow, that was successful, so now we'll just go. So there's been a lot of other different projects and things, and probably just another responsibility is that some people think would probably be the worst, and that's kind of being the place for people to go, or the person for people to go to. So a lot of people come to me for positive things, and more often than not negative things, but that's okay, and it's rewarding, and I generally have either a place for them to go or the right person for them to talk to, or I can answer them myself and hopefully get things taken care of. So
yeah, and going off the SkyWest project, you were saying working with everyone, that local government officials really work together a lot here. How do you think, or what do you think is the main thing that makes that work and makes you guys have successful interactions?
You know, a lot of that started before I was elected. There's been an intergovernmental meetings quarterly for a long time, much longer than when I got here. And I don't know if that started it, but quite possibly just the fact that we are Northeast Michigan, and so without our other forms of governments like the township boards and the county commissioners and the city council working together, it would be, I think we would find it difficult, and everybody probably just knows that. So just that neighborly neighborhood aspect of being where we are geographically makes it maybe easier for us to work together.
Yeah, and I was speaking a little bit with Councilman Nowak regarding both of you are running uncontested this year for this election. So tell me your take on that. Why do you think it is that you're running uncontested?
It's kind of funny. I've been told that there's probably two different reasons. Either one, I'm doing such a great job that everybody's satisfied with me, or I've got it so mucked up that nobody else wants it. So. I'd rather assume that it's the first, and that people are happy with the job I'm doing, and if that is the case, well then that feels pretty good, and I appreciate that, and so that's kind of my take of how it is. I certainly can't answer for it because I didn't ask everybody that didn't run against me why they didn't. Yeah,
and learning from these past couple of years and all of your experiences, are you taking any different stances or strategies to going into this election or getting your message across to the public?
Well, running uncontested is, I'm gonna, I guess, use that as a blessing. Running a campaign can be extremely exhausting, and there's a lot of responsibilities to it, and so not having to do that, I guess, for me makes it a little bit easier for me to focus on things that I'm doing and projects that we're working on and things that the city and the city council are working on, and so I don't want to take that for granted, and so it's really kind of motivated me to get back into different things that we're working on, and because you can let things go, and certainly if I was campaigning I'd have to put things a bit on the back burner, but it's certainly easier on me, and so I'll just take that to my advantage and be able to get some stuff done. Of
course. What are some projects or issues that you're working on right now?
I'm working on, I guess, I don't know how many things that probably not that many that I'm just working on personally, but the city's working on quite a few things, that are taking up some people's time, as far as, putting some stuff together for informational purposes for water rates. It's been a big topic, and so the city's putting some informational aspects together for that, things that I'm not so much directly involved in that. Our staff is working on that, but I'm waiting to hear back from a couple of things at the school system to help them out, working on a couple packages as far as things to do about the litter that the students find on the beach, specifically cigarette butts and things like that we can work on to try and eliminate or make less. There's a survey out right now for the for our recreation plan. So I'm interested in that, and I do want to take some time to get out with people. Mike Nowak in particular is very good at that. He takes some time and puts himself out for office hours, if you will. I should do that because it gives me a good idea of what the people are looking for and what they'd like to happen. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we hope to see you out there, and we're excited for everything that you have in store for the community in the city. So thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
And tune in next week into Insights into Northeast Michigan to learn more about the issues surrounding our community. Thanks so much for watching.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.
The furniture and set design for this episode of Insights is provided by Young Appliance Art Van Furniture on US 23 South, Alpena.